the concept of the bass camp, we started doing them about 4 years ago, and the idea is to generate interest locally about the academy itself. So we have like obviously we do like a lot of events and projects and activations throughout the year.
And traveled a lot around the world.
Yes, so we do like, we have the main academy each year, which has been happening for 15 years. And obviously we do like a lot of festival stages and club nights and lectures and workshops all over the place. And a bass camp is probably it's the closest thing to an actual academy experience. So in effect, a bass camp is a mini version of the academy, but it's a local event. So if we do a bass camp in Romania, as we're doing here now, it's a 3-4 day academy for local Romanian artists. And the idea is that they fit they fit the bill for applying. So the idea is that they walk away having experienced the academy in its entirety. So we follow a lecture format, we put on shows in the evening, and we offer studio time.
How did you choose the Romanian artists?
With difficulty, but a good difficulty, because there was a lot of potential artists. Part of the story, and one thing I really enjoy about Red Bull Music Academy is this maintained relationship with artists, whether it's studio team, lecturers, participants, everything. So for some reason there's quite a strong following in Romania, it feels, and every year there seems to be quite a lot of applications from Romania. So the way we select the participants for the bass camp, it's pretty straightforward. I get sent a spreadsheet, a list of potential participants. Normally we choose between 20 and 30 participants for the bass camp. They don't apply, they're invited. And I'll normally get sent between 60 and 70. And the criteria is simply like age. Obviously it makes sense for them to fit within the age bracket of the main application. So they have to be of a minimum age and, ideally not over, I guess, 35 or so.
Are you limited to certain subgenres of music?
Not
music?
at all. Not at all. I think, again, part of the story with the academy is that we embrace and connect all genres and cultures without focusing too heavily on one sound. I think that the academy started 15 years ago, and initially it was a DJ. I think the first year it was mostly DJs, and of course over time with the internet, with accessibility to equipment, software and hardware, more people make music. Everyone's a DJ now, and if you want to make music, it's you download your software. Yeah. And you're away. Good thing about what we're doing and these bass camps is we're reaching out to the right people, and just going back to your earlier question about how we reach these artists. Of course, the local there's various channels that we travel through. The local Red Bull team here are obviously connected with the club scene, with promoters, with venue owners. They're connected with local artists, with academy alumni, who are obviously connected as well with artists. So we have like a large network of connections. I know a couple of artists and guys that are doing things here. I've spoken to, it just so happens that someone who works at the International Academy office comes from Bucharest, and she's involved in music.
You mean Ada Kale?
No, she was a participant on the academy. But it's one phone call or an email to her. Hey, we're doing this bass camp.
Want to join us?
Well, I mean, yeah, she's come anyway, but it's like, do you want to make a couple of suggestions? Who should we be reaching out to? She knows the format and she knows the criteria, So, she's suggesting people. Same with Cosmin TRG, he suggested some people. And then of course Mihaela from Red Bull, she's here, she knows the scene. So it's just connecting the right people and finding a network.
Talking about the right people, how did you choose the lectures for the workshops? You had yesterday Rodion GA.
Yeah, so we try and like follow a format when we do these bass camps. We want to invite some internationally relevant artists, someone that people will show an interest from, maybe an artist that hasn't performed in the city or the country before. Again, someone who's affiliated with the academy in some aspects, so maybe someone who's lectured at a main academy and has never done like a local event, and then we also want to reach out to, I guess, what we call like a local legend, like someone like Rodion. His music is incredible. He's an amazing character. Although he's never lectured at a main academy before, him alone, the music that he makes, the time that he was making music, he lectured here yesterday, and although it was in Romanian and I didn't understand it, I'd obviously spent a couple of hours talking to him before the lecture, on email and on the phone, and we spoke yesterday after the lecture, and just hearing what he's doing, and he's referencing Kraftwerk. Actually, funny you say that. He was referencing Kraftwerk in his record collection. He was referencing Black Sabbath and a lot of metal bands, a lot of punk bands, and a lot of electronic music. And when you hear his sound, like you hear all of that stuff, and he was doing it before those bands were. And I love the fact that he's turned up with a dirty old sort of suitcase with a broken Casio keyboard and his magnetic tape players, his Tesla tape machine with a box of like 15 tapes, and he's just playing them all live. I think that experience is so far removed from what the participants are doing in the studios here. Using software, MIDI controller, everything's in the computer. You want a sub bass, it's there. You want a synth sound, it's there. And Rodion was creating, like, his music sounds like he's got 20 synthesizers, like playing live at one time, and he's not using a single synth. It's all live instruments, and it's just the way he's recorded it and phased it and played its effects.
Getting to the instruments, in the studios at the BassCamp you had an extraordinary setup. Every studio is what everyone would want to have.
Yeah.
For the most Romanian artists, young producers, music is not a job. It's only a hobby or a passion. Can you help them further on the long run?
I think like with the studio element of the main academy and what we're trying to achieve with providing the studio equipment for the bass camps, is really just to give them a platform to collaborate with their fellow countrymen. It's like a lot of them may be connected already. If you're in your mid-20s and you're making electronic music in Bucharest, the chances are is that a lot of other 25-year-old electronic music producers from Bucharest. But of course, we've got 25 participants here, and they're not all from the city, and they do come from different genres, and it's about bringing them together. And I guess it's about embracing the creative energy in the studios. Like we purposely like offer the platform, offer the equipment, and then step back and just let that take its natural course. You can't make them produce music. You can't push someone into a creative path. Maybe you can with just supplying the equipment for them, but you and me don't know each other. That we've got a participant here that scores music and writes classical music. He's worked with electronic producers before, but we're connecting him with a bass player and a vocalist and a techno producer, and all of a sudden there's 6 people just making music together. And after these 3 days of this bass camp, hopefully that's a relationship that remains, that's established, and for them, they understand that Rebel Music Academy is giving them that opportunity and that platform. And after the bass camp, of course, we'd love for them to apply for the main academy, but it's also about keeping that relationship established and keeping in touch with them, understanding what they're working on, them communicating with us directly. It's always quite an organic relationship, and you know, it could just be a simple thing where we're tweeting about a track that they've released, or you know, for example, we did a bass camp in San Francisco 2 weeks before here, and 5 of the artists made a track together on the second day. So in less than a day and a half, they produced a track together. They put it on SoundCloud off of their own accord. They own the music. They put it out there. You know, within 2 days, it got 30,000, you know, hits. And obviously, that's not our goal. That's not the main
goal of the Basecamp.
The main goal. But of course, it's a wonderful thing that these people are now connected. And I think it was a singer from Seattle, a producer from LA, another producer from San Diego, I believe, and someone from San Francisco. And it's just great. Hopefully that relationship stays established. And of course, outside of the main academy, we book live shows and club nights and all sorts of things. So it's just keeping those connections. And
do you see many Romanians applying for the International Red Bull Music Academy?
Yeah.
And
I mean, I don't have a list of the numbers now.
There are 3 Romanians in the academy now.
That have been through the academy.
Yeah,
and they were all
minus Adakale and Cosmin TRG.
And they were all reasonably recent.
Yeah.
You know, they were all in like recent times. And again, we stay connected with people
with
like Cosmin, you know, like he's a massive like that's the other thing, is that when these participants have been on the academy, post academy, you know, they support RBMA, you know,
and the Music Academy supports them also.
Yeah, you know, like, again, it's not the main intention, but some of the artists that have really gone on to become
on another level,
really big artists, they'll still come back and they'll still do lectures, and we still do shows with them. You know, Flying Lotus, for example, he was on the studio team in New York. You know, he was at the academy every day for one of the terms. That's 2 weeks, every day in the studios. You know, he's a big artist, touring the world, you know, earning a lot of money doing big shows, and he's in the studios for 2 weeks, every day with participants. He was a participant, so he understands it, and he likes that energy.
He's like one of them. He's not.
Yeah, totally. I mean, of course, you know, as I was saying in the introduction lecture with the participants here, that someone like him, you know, I think he's got such a unique fan base. Like now in 2014, it's such an interesting thing, because he has a lot of fanboys. You know, they're like, some of those participants were like, oh my god, it's Flying Lotus. They're sitting there like eating pasta with him and stuff. It's very strange for them. It's an alien kind of surrounding. But within a day or two, those barriers are broken down, and it's an artist, and they're together in a studio, and they're just doing what they're doing the thing that they love.
If you can give an advice for Romanians who want to participate in the academy,
I mean, it'd be the same advice to give anyone. I guess the application itself is probably the best thing to read. You know, like, read the application and understand the questions. It's not. I don't think it's an easy thing to apply for the academy. The application is designed in a way that it's not just based on your like credentials, on your musical ability, on your production ability, or your knowledge. It's very much about your personality. You know, if you're a recluse and you don't like collaborating, but you're a very accomplished producer and you put out quite a lot of material, the chances are is that 21-year-old who maybe hasn't even finished a master track before, maybe doesn't even know how to, might have just made something with some, you know, cheap software, using a microphone built into the laptop, just ideas. You know, like, if we you know, we're music nerds, so you know, you can hear an idea, and it might just be an 8-bar loop. It might be, you know, a totally raw, unfinished piece of material. If you can hear the energy in the music and we feel it, that obviously is a a massive tick. And then it's all really about you as a person.
Could you define or describe a portrait for the ideal applicant?
No.
It is not.
I mean, it's no, because I mean, like we might have like an oud player from Iran, a folk guitarist and singer from New Zealand, a techno producer from Glasgow, an MC and hip hop producer from Nigeria. Like it's really varied. We had a participant at the New York Academy, and when she was 17, she was making her own amplifiers and guitars. Her name's Simone Jones. She's from the US, and I think she lives in Berlin now. But like that's just an example. There's no one particular fit or structure. It covers all genres, and